Kurt from Team The Smart Play is here, and I'm going to bring you a ban list discussion for the July 2014 format, which I've heard is only going to last till September. So that's interesting. But anyway, here are this isn't really a prediction list so much as it is a wish list, and how, if I were Konami, I'd go about balancing out the game. So, ban, first off, I don't think anything really is ban worthy this format. I mean, there are a lot of good cards, but nothing that putting a card to one couldn't solve. So, I don't think anything should be banned necessarily, but let's go over some cards here that should definitely be limited. First off, Fire and Ice Hand. Putting them down to 2 wouldn't really do much of anything, because most players only play 2 to begin with. Well, some play 3, but I think 2 is what people splash in their decks. So putting them down to 2 wouldn't really do much. They're just... The reason they need to go is that they have created a state in the game where people are afraid to play Yu-Gi-Oh! When a monster is set for fear that it might be a hand. And, there's just too many situations that the hands are more or less a free out to, and it's just a little too strong. And I think putting them down to 2 wouldn't quite be good enough. At 1, there's still great tech cards that you can splash in to have removal, but they really outclass many of the traps that are in the game right now. So I think putting them down to 1, along with some of the traps that I feel they outclass, is the best option. So next up is Soul Charge. Soul Charge, I'm on the unpopular bandwagon of Soul Charge is not that broken a card. It's no less broken than Rekindling was, except for the fact that everyone can use it, but it has great cost. I mean, first off, you have to pay 1,000 life points for each monster you summon, so that could knock you out of a territory where you could use Solemn Warning, or put you in cowboy range if you take any other damage. So there are risks associated with using Soul Charge, and then you can't win the turn you use it most of the time unless your opponent's at like low life and you Soul Charge for 5 level 4 monsters, make 2 cowboys, burn for 1,600 and win that way. But you can't conduct your battle phase, so it kind of balances itself out there. It gives your opponent a turn to make a rebuttal play. So I think at 1, Soul Charge kind of very nicely fills the void that Monster Reborn left when it was banned. So I think Soul Charge is good to go to 1. Gear Gear should probably also go to 1. I like Gear, and I don't think they necessarily need 3 Gear to be good, to be competitive. I mean, to be great, yes, they probably need the Gear, but there is some new Gear support coming out. I think we're going to get a structure deck for that, probably after the Hero one. But that's the only thing I feel needs to get hit in Gear, and then there'll be a solid deck to play that isn't too good. Madolche Hoot Cake. A lot of people talk about Madolche and they're like, oh, just limit the Angeli, and that's good. But really, when you think about it, Angeli's just like the lone Fire Blossom, which in itself is good, but Hoot Cake is the tour guide, Hoot Cake brings out the stuff, Hoot Cake gets it going. So I think Hoot Cake is really the problem here more so than Angeli. So I would limit the Hoot Cake, and that way they can still have their free Angeli to add consistency to their deck, but they won't be able to just repeatedly go for their Hoot Cake play as often or as easily, because they can still recycle the Hoot Cake because they've got the ticket and Chateau and stuff, and they just don't get punished for using the resources at all. So I don't think putting Hoot Cake to 1 would kill the deck. You could put Angeli here too, but I think Hoot Cake's really the problem. And everyone's like, oh, you'll just kill Madolche. They've been good before Angeli, I feel. and they'll probably be good after. I don't think this is going to kill the deck. Next up for limits, Armageddon Knight. And I know a lot of people will look at this card and be like, what the hell are you smoking, Kurt? But hear me out. Shaddolls are coming out. Konami needs to do something about Shaddolls before it becomes another Dragon Ruler format where it's Shaddolls or bust. Also, Infernities are lingering there in the tier 2, tier 2.5 void there, and because earlier in the format Infernities were doing really well, so I feel if you hit the hands, and you hit Soul Charge, and you hit Gear, and you hit Hoot Cake, then Infernities are just going to rise to the top, and they'll be up there until Shaddolls come out. So I think Armageddon Knight serves two purposes. It'll hit Shaddolls preemptively without, hurting Konami's revenue stream, because it's not a card that's going to be in Duelist Alliance. So I think it's probably a good card to limit. They'll just play Dark Grepher or something, but I think Armageddon Knight is a good card to hit Shaddolls preemptively. Cyberstein? Come on. I mean, there's so many ways to stop Cyberstein's effect. We've got Breakthrough Skill. We've got Effect Veiler. We've got all this stuff. And 5,000 life points is a hell of a cost. And, if he gets stopped, you've still paid those life points. And you have a 700 attack monster out there on boards. And you're sitting there at 3,000 life points. They put something out there with 3,700 attack. You're done. I mean, granted, there are ways to get around the cost, like brain research facility and DNA surgery, but that's very conjunctional. I don't think that's going to have an impact on the meta. Really, Cyberstein can go to 1. Cyberstein could really go to 3, and it really wouldn't do anything, but I think 1 for testing is usually how Konami likes to handle these cards that have been banned for a while. Next up, Stratos. We in the TCG aren't going to get the structure deck until probably December or maybe March of the next year. So Stratos can come back. Heroes still won't be meta defining with Stratos back, but they'll be playable again. I think they need the Stratos now until they get Dark Law, and I think even then you should test how Stratos and Dark Mist can play together, play off of each other, and we'll see how that goes. I really don't think Stratos was ever ban-worthy. I think that hit came way out of left field. It was really for the Divine Wind of Mist Valley OTK, but I think perhaps the better way to hurt that OTK was to hit Divine Wind of Mist Valley and not Stratos, but what do I know? So that's it for limits. I think semi-limits are coming up, but here's what I think for semi-limits. I think Gores should go to 2. The OCG has Gores at 2, maybe even 3 now, and it's not really hurting anything. With Pendulums coming out, I think we more so need OTK insurance in the form of Gores, because, Pendulums are going to be freaking crazy. So Gores, I feel, is necessary to kind of help balance that out. Gores also does other stuff well, too. And I think he's not seeing a lot of play right now. I don't think he'll see a lot of play in many other decks, but a lot of rogue decks could really use another Gores to kind of help them stay in the power. Because Gores is still a great card. He never stopped being a great card. It's just the power creep in Yu-Gi-Oh! Was kind of made it so... Well, also, he doesn't really fit in many of the top tier decks, I feel, is the main issue with why he's underplayed. Next up, Book of Moon. Book of Moon's a card that could have gone to 2 like 4 formats ago. It's not a broken card. It's a balanced out card. It doesn't remove the monster. It just stuns your opponent for 1 turn, or maybe saves you for 1 turn. It doesn't really hurt the game state too much. It's not like it's broken or anything. I think it can go to 2. I actually think it could go to 3, but they'll probably just put it at 2 for testing. Uh, Rescue Rabbit. Rescue Rabbit going to 2 wouldn't hurt anything. It'd help a lot of decks. It'd help Rabbit contend. It'd help some budget Fire Fist players who do the 4-axis with the Gene Werewolf and all that. Also, Evil Swarms will help there, and Evil Swarms are kind of a check the artifact. So I like that deck getting a little bit better to help check artifacts a little bit, make them run some cards to get around Evil Swarms, which would hinder their matchup against other decks. But that's neither here nor there. More Shaddoll checking Macrocosmos and D-Fissure. I don't think they'll both go to 2 at the same time, but one or the other should go to 2. Probably Macrocosmos, because it's a little bit slower, would be the candidate to go to 2. But I think we need to be able to play 3 Graveyard Floodgate cards in our decks. So putting one of these to 2 and keeping the other at 1 will give you 3 Graveyard Floodgates to play. I mean, I think, yes, it might have been a little crazy back in the day when both these cards were at 3, and you could just be like, oh, I have 6, you can't play your graveyard stuff anymore cards. So, I don't think both of these would go to 2, but one or the other should definitely go to 2. I would prefer to have Dimensional Fissure go to 2, probably. Actually, no, I'd prefer to have Macro go to 2, because it's more powerful, but it's also a little bit slower. So, I don't know. Realistically, I don't know if Konami's going to do it, but they really should. With Shaddolls coming out, these are great cards to side deck against Shaddolls, because I believe, here, let's look at the card. I believe they can't activate Shaddol Fusion. I can't spell. Gymnite Fusion, Instant Fusion, Overload Fusion, Shaddol Fusion. Extra deck, monsters from hand side field. If your opponent controls a monster on a special summon from the extra deck, you can also use. Oh, so it doesn't say they have to go to the graveyard, but it will still hurt them because they won't be able to get all their sent to the graveyard effects, which balances them out rather drastically. So I think these cards are still good to go to 2. Next up, Gladiator Beast Bestiary. Should have gone to 2 a while ago. It's not going to make Glad Beasts broken by any stretch, but it will help them out quite a bit. Tenki back to 2. I honestly am rather confused as to why they upped it back to 3 from 2. I think it was good at 2. I don't think it was hurting anything at 2. I mean, granted, Boojins weren't topping all over the place, but I don't think Boojins really are a deck that should be topping too much, because they're not that great a deck. They've never been that great a deck. It's always been, oh, once they get more Beast Warriors, they'll be better, and they have gotten better. But I don't think they need the 3 Tenki. I don't think anyone really needs the 3 Tenki. I think that card was best at 2 and should go back there. Torrential Tribute, again, Pendulum's coming out. So I think this card is probably the most balanced check to Pendulums. You can bring back Bottomless too, but I think that punishes them too hard, because that would remove and play all the cards they summoned with 1500 more attack. And let's face it, if you're playing Pendulums, pretty much everything you're dropping is going to be 1500 or more attack. So that's why I think I don't like this card at 2. I hated this card at 2 when it was at 2. But I think it should be at 2 for the game to work with Pendulums in there. Next, Grand Mold at 2. Really, I haven't seen Grand Mold played in anything other than a Neospatian deck for years. So I think this card can safely go back to 2. It's not going to hurt too much. Next, Semi-Limit. I think Artifact Sanctum should be semi-limited. Just do something with the Artifact engine. It's just a little too much right now. I think losing one Artifact Sanctum is the slap on the wrist it needs. It doesn't really need to be punished. I don't think losing one Artifact Sanctum is really going to cripple the deck too much. but at the same time, it makes it a little more fair for people playing against the deck. And it's another hit to hat. I think with the hands gone and this gone, that cluster fuck of a deck called Hat should see a severe reduction in play, which is good because everyone hates playing against Hat, and even the Hat players don't like playing Hat too much. It's just too good a deck not to play right now. Next semi-limit, Skill Drain. Oh, this is the last semi-limit also. Skill Drain. It's been at 3 for too long. It's such a good anti-meta card that I think it needs to go to 2 along with all the other great trap cards that went to 2, like Bottomless and stuff. I'm not saying put it straight down to 1 where they are now, but I think 2 would be good because a lot of Skill Drain decks can just get it out too easily now, and I think that's a bit of an issue. So Skill Drain to 2, again, just balances out the game state. It doesn't help or hurt any one thing too terribly much, but it just balances out what is really right now very powerful card. I did forget a limit, but we'll get to that later when it's extra deck cards. Back to 3, Magician of Faith. No one played it. I don't think it's really going to do anything. Chaos Sorcerer. I was debating whether this card should go back to 3 or Dad should go back to 2. And the conclusion I came to is that 2 Dads makes a lot of dark decks really freaking good. Like, could you imagine Shadal's with 2 Dads? Gives them access to rank 7s and all that. Because Dad's a rank 7, or a level 7, so we can make rank 7s with 2 of them. Destiny Heroes would benefit greatly from 2 Dads. I think a lot of decks might power creep a little bit too much with 2 Dark Arm Dragons. But Chaos Sorcerer is a little bit more balanced a card. Like, there's a lot of stuff to stop him, and if he gets stopped, he's not as big as Dad. He's only 2,300. A lot of crap can get over that these days. So I don't think he's as tough a card to deal with as Dark Armed is. Because Dark Armed, you stop his effect. Okay, good luck getting over me, bro. I'm 2,800. So that's the reason I feel Chaos Sorcerer can go back to 3. And Chaos Sorcerer was at 3 during the March 2012 format, and he went straight down to 1, which was weird because, I mean, as a Chaos Dragon player during that format, I don't think he was really... should probably wrap this up soon. I don't think he was really doing too much harm to anything. And he's slowly been brought back up to 2, and still isn't seeing much play. I think he'll just bolster some Chaos decks. I mean, the concern with him at 3 would be, oh, well, then Twilight will get really good. But I think that kind of makes sense for Konami, because they want to sell them Bloodsworn decks. So I think buffing Twilight and buffing Chaos decks in general is a good idea, especially with all the hate. I mean, there was Midrash and stuff, and Ophion, so I think there's enough to check a Chaos Sorcerer coming back into the game. I suppose you could make the same argument for Dad, but I think Chaos Sorcerer in 3 is a little bit more balanced. It has less potential to be broken than Dad back to 2. And finally, Card Trooper. Curry Bandit outclasses this card in almost every single way, so I don't think there's any reason to keep it around at 2. I mean, it should be at 3. I don't think it's really going to do anything. I don't even play this card in Chaos Dragons or Chaos Eyes. I don't play this card in pretty much anything anymore in Zectors. I've since let this card go because it just isn't that good anymore. And then for extra deck cards, I think Silent Arc 101 should go to 1. The reason I think that is that it's just too easy and out to too many things in the game right now, and I think with it being at 3, you could use it early game to kind of derail your opponent's momentum, and then you can use it again late game to kind of seal your victory, and I think that's a little too much. I think putting him to 1, because he's not a broken enough card to go be banned. I don't think he's any worse than Zen Mains was when Zen Mains was ultra popular. But I think he's just too generic and out to too many things, and putting them to one will force people to use their Silent Honor arc very carefully, and I think that's the best thing for the game. This is what I would do to balance out the ban list. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, comment if you have different feelings about the ban list, and subscribe if you want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.